Part 3, Ralphie, it's spring carnival time, and I just want to say to the punters, it's not all over yet, punters. Sandown's always a cracking meeting, and personally, I like Ballarat. I'll be going down there to walk the track. I think there's always an advantage in walking that track, so that I'm looking forward to that. But more immediately, I'm really looking forward to Sandown.
Good meeting, Sandown.
It will be a good meeting.
And that's your classic transition meeting.
Yeah.
And you want to be on horses that have probably got a mini platform.
Yeah.
Because there's those ones that the trainer goes, oh, I'll give them one more run, and you can usually risk them. And there's those that are first or second up and they're ready for the summer, and you're not quite ready for them. But those ones that had 3 or 4 runs, Silence Edition won it last year, just one off the top of my head, they're the ones that you really want to be in. Did Prompt Response win this time last year? I reckon Prompt Response did as well. Ollie wrote it, yep, did. There you go, so they're the type of horses that, you know, 3 or 4 runs and just...
I think I backed Petition in that race.
You did?
Yeah.
Just got beat?
Yeah, very good odds. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's a great meeting, Sandown. I always enjoy it. So, and we saw a bit of that on Saturday. You know, horses coming into their prep. Some of them performed, some of them didn't.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's not black and white. It's not. You can't just take a broad brush and say every one of them we're going to put a pin through. So, anyway, look, I just want to say to over the whole spring, I had some, you know, all my staunch supporters that come with me for the ride, and I think they enjoyed it. I got some great emails from them over the time. And I also got some emails from some punters that chimed in for the first time over spring. I hope they enjoyed the package, and you know, we'll continue on or come back again whenever it suits them.
You're selling hard work, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
So, and that's great, isn't it? When you get feedback, when you get feedback from people who know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and you help them out, it's a great feeling.
Absolutely, it makes it all the more rewarding. I mean, I enjoy doing what I do just for my own betting, but to help other people enjoy their punting, I find it very rewarding. So, anyway, one of the really good emails I got was from a regular correspondent, Brian, who's he's a ripper, Brian, and he made some well thought out, excellent points about the Melbourne Cup.
Yes,
I thought so. I just mentioned a couple of them without reading his whole email. The theme of the email is about doing the form for the Melbourne Cup and how difficult it is because of the lack of information, and with half the field having their first run in Australia. And then Brian's comparing that to what they do in Hong Kong with their International Day, where they prepare a package for punters that includes every bit of information you want on those horses. And I think it's, you know, the VRC and Racing Door do so much right. Okay, so I don't just want to be a blanket criticiser of them. They do a lot right, but in this case, they really need to do something about it. They need to spend the money and get the media rights or whatever to be able to, for punters to be able to look at the videos of all the horses in the Melbourne Cup and to be able to find it in one place. It needs to be easier for the rank and file punter to do the form on the Melbourne Cup because it's becoming a real challenge.
I'm not laughing at you. No, I know. I said all this 5 and 6 years ago on 3 on Saturday, and I'd say, why could you not, at Racing Victoria website, preracing.com, the same fundamentals happen here. Why could you not make it a condition of entry? Condition of entry is that your jurisdiction has to make it available. Now, don't tell me that Ascot wouldn't say, no worries, you can have our vision. On our website, there can be a link through to their website, doesn't matter. I mean, you can all be grown up. We're putting on, what is it, $6 million prize money? Part of that is that your vision will be shown. How could that? But
well, Hong Kong, if Hong Kong does it, Ralph, it means that it's doable.
But Hong Kong is customer focused.
So they must pay the money to get the media rights to be able to do it. You know?
But they're not media. They're not punter focused. And I promise you, this isn't personal. It doesn't sound that.
Well, they've got they are turnover focused, though, Ralphie. So
Greg Carpenter's not customer focused. He doesn't talk about what the punters think. He's not allowed to bet as a handicapper. So who's there? Saying,
they do look at turnover. They do look at turnover. They will see that this year the turnover is slightly down on that race. Is it? That's the information I've heard. So it's not my job to go and analyse all that data, but I believe that the turnover in the Melbourne Cup is down 4%.
Okay.
Right now, if they want to arrest that slide, they need to give the punters the information they need to feel comfortable to bet in the race. So
100%. And it's got to be with this horse round here. Here's the significance of it. Not, you know, and really you've got to try and sell it. And I'll tell you the reverse of exactly what you're saying, but it confirms what you're saying. The Everest, we knew every horse. We had an opinion about every horse, both in Melbourne and Sydney, And what was the betting? Through the roof.
Yeah.
And what did it then do? The rising, what's the phrase, investing, the rising tide floats all boats?
Yeah.
Call for guineas went up.
Yeah.
When we had people in racing in Victoria saying this was going to be a negative, exactly as I said, we said here a few months back, it's going to be a positive, and it was. Because punters were engaged in two main jurisdictions in Australia, on horses they knew when they bet on it. Melbourne Cup, here's some horses and do your best. Have a guess what this York run means. Have a guess what this, and then try and find it. By the way, the TAB website is fantastic for it. Yeah, if people don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You get. I do it through Sky Racing, but it's the same platform,
yeah.
and I find all the replays. But it's honestly, I was at several functions over the spring period, and this was a point of discussion in everyone. And the closer it got to the Cup, the more fervently it was discussed.
Yep.
And by and large, the punters that I spoke to, and a lot of these people, you know, there's a mixture of run-of-the-mill punters, trainers, influential owners, like a real mixture of different people. They weren't engaged in the Melbourne Cup.
No,
they didn't really care.
Yeah. And
I think it's because, like, to me, it's almost become a novelty race.
Yep.
And from an analyst's point of view, from my point of view, I'd like to back the winner of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, of course. But if I don't, I couldn't care less. Because it actually has no form reference. It's a meaningless race. It's an outlier. It just sits out there on its own. There is no useful application of that form anywhere, like for me. Like it's so.
Because you have,
I'd much rather back the winner of all the other races around it, because they're going to have a useful application in the coming weeks.
But you're in a commercial world, so you sell your stuff, and you have two things: you have subscribers and you have a rolling bank. Yeah. I don't have subscribers, and I say 150 units every Saturday night. Yeah. And where I'm going with this is, my head was, I know how many people are just buying either Melbourne Cup Link or Melbourne Cup only. Yeah. They don't want to read, I'm really keen on race 8. Yeah. They actually want.
Yeah.
So I said, right, third of the bank because it's Melbourne Cup, but this is bloody impossible. Yeah. Johannes for me wins, I break even, whatever. Yeah. But where I'm going with it, how did you adjust yourself? Because you're a rolling bank and you've got subscribers that are locked in. Did you sort of chip down a bit?
No, not really. But to me, it's a good race to bet in there because there's a huge pool and there's a good prize for backing the winner.
Yes.
You know, so like on average, the races that I target, a race that I'm not that keen on will be like down near 5 units.
Yep.
A race that I'm really keen on will be 15, right? But that doesn't happen very often. So most of them fall in the 8 to 12 range. Yeah. So I think I bet 11 units on the Melbourne Cup.
How many horses?
5. Back 5 horses.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't. None of them ran in the first 10. So like. Got the race wrong, whatever. I mean, they were well backed, but that doesn't help you, does it?
No, where I'm going with it is that because it's the Melbourne Cup, and what I saw one guy on Twitter. I can't remember who, so I apologise because I just can't remember. But he said that time of year when all your mates who don't follow racing judge your ability to have any idea about racing on if you find the Melbourne Cup winner. It was a good line, you know, like, and that's what to anyone mildly interested. They just say, well, you follow racing, what do you think? And if you're right, they think you know what you're talking about. If you think you're wrong, they think you don't. And they don't want to hear it's a bloody hard race and it's open form lines and mixed form lines and it's hard to line up.
Well, my friends that don't engage in racing year round, that come to me and say, what do you think? I said, look, this is a novelty race, really. Like, there are opportunities here that's going to be good dividends. Yeah. You know, like, don't let anyone put you on or off anything, but this is the way I've seen the race. You know, I backed 5 horses. I think I'd marked the Quinella 6th and 7th pick, of course, you know. And I've got broke over the years backing horses with the profile of rekindling. I've backed all of them over the years.
That's what I'm saying.
And they've all run 3rd to 6th. Like,
so how'd you approach it with that? What was your mindset with rekindling?
First of all, because I'd been, you know, I'd backed Bondi Beach when he was a European 3-year-old and Marla, and I could make a whole list of them. Probably thought he would be not robust enough. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I marked him as long as I could have marked him. I think I marked him $18 when I probably could have marked him $12 if I'd have taken a more aggressive approach. So and I didn't like the way the last 200 metres of the Irish Ledger. But then again, I probably don't have as good a line as I could have on Aldous and George, you know what I mean? Maybe.
But segment 2, we're talking about our advantage over the algorithm just to really know a region. Yeah. And then we're asked to make a decision on the horses not from our region. I mean, that's the reality. Yeah,
so I mean, there it is. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the Melbourne Cup will be here again in 12 months' time. Like I mean, after the race, well, thank God I don't have to bet in another one another 3,200 metre race for 12 months because it's not.
That's one at Sandown this week.
It's not court business for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not. I'm happy to like not bet in the race at Sandown, but if there's an opportunity there, I will bet in it. But like, like I said, it's a bit of a novelty.
Yeah.
It's not core business. But where I do 90% of my betting is really 1,200, 2,000 metre races, because, like I said, pattern, positioning, strength mean everything to me, and that's where I can get the most confidence on those three factors.
Yes.
With the way I do things.
Al Mandan, did you think there was a problem with the ride, or do you think he was stiff where he was? And the horse didn't turn up as well?
Yeah, no, all of it. Like, I mean, he ran up to his lead-in run. So, like, the signs were there with Al Mandan. I chose to ignore them and include him. Like, only as a saver. Horses I backed, the two I took strongest positions on were Marmello and Humidor.
Yeah.
And anyway, whatever.
All right, I want to wind up by this way. Who do you think's the second best horse in the country now?
Depends what the distance is, Ralphie. Yeah, I think it's. It depends on, you know, they all.
Give us out of. Give us three that you think are in the second, third, and fourth sort of conversation.
Okay, well, let's just pick a mile, because a mile's a good distance. If they run to their absolute best, okay, so it'd be very hard to produce a marketing, because the map would be key and whether, you know, all that. So I was like, you know what, you asked me to hang an opinion out there, and I don't really like doing this type of thing.
Well, I'm saying Toast and Southern from Newport.
Yes, well, I'm saying if they ran to their absolute best and the race was run to suit, it would be the other way around, Humidor from Toast and Stardom. But if you ran 10, 1,600 metre races with the usual variances in maps and everything else, I'd probably back Happy Clapper to beat them both more often than not.
That's a very
right, because he's a much better racehorse than those two, and he's much more consistent. He's more reliable.
Tell me who your two best jockeys in Victoria is at the moment.
Mark Zara is riding extremely well. He doesn't get as good opportunities as his riding deserves.
He has got a little weight problem too. So
that varies. Like, there's a lot of discussion about Craig Williams. Okay, Craig Williams, one of his great skills as a jockey is, first of all, he's light, and second of all, he gets himself the best book of rides so often it's not even funny. So he's a, you know, that's a skill in itself, and it shouldn't be disregarded. Like, so I think there are.
I'd say Damien Lane and Mark Zara for that one. You comfortable with that?
No, I think Mark Zara's got a margin on Damien Lane.
Really? Wow.
Damien Lane's a very good jockey, but I just think there's still.
Well, he's probably got 10 years on him too. That's I think it's a craft.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. Want to have some lunch?
Yeah, let's have some lunch.
All the best punters. Hope you between two of us, or even if you do your own work, that we help you somewhere.